California. Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Here we have ourselves quite the show, and we have a lot to get to in the world of Southern California sports, such as the Rams getting the impressive wildcard win over the Minnesota Vikings. Big win for them as they advance to take on the dreaded Philadelphia Eagles in the divisional round. But unfortunately, the Chargers are out. The Chargers again losing to the Houston Texans. What went wrong for the Bolts? Also, the Lakers and Clippers got back in action after the wildfires postponed their games. Lakers kind of collapsed against the Spurs, but the Clippers were pretty good against the Heat. Speaking of looking not so good, looking good, what is going on with UCLA men's team? Not looking so good Westwood as Nick Jones might be getting a little warm, but USC was able to get the win against Illinois, number 11 Illinois. And we have some NHL talk with the Ducks and the Kings. Kings are trending a little backwards while the Ducks, well, they're still the Ducks. All that more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. iSports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, Wednesday, wherever you are listening from. Either way, you've made your way to episode 212 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Without any further delay, let us begin. But first and foremost, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be where it's at without IE Sports Radio providing the platform to go live on StreamYard. Please do follow IE Sports Radio on several different social media platforms such as X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Also, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. We would definitely appreciate it. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers by the end of this month. And with your help, we can definitely make it happen as we are 150 away from said goal. So we would appreciate a follow from you all. Also, like you mentioned, check us out on our podcast platforms. Also, check out our website where you can catch all of our bios of our hosts, and also check out our show pages such as the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, and check out our Hall of Fame where yours truly is inducted, Hall of Fame inductee number 10, and so much more. All right, so without any further delay, let us get on into the SoCal sports action. So this day I kind of dreaded, and I was and also we have to do one more sponsor, and that is to our newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. We thank them for being the most recent sponsor of IE Sports Radio. And if you use the promo code IESR, you'll get 10% off your order. It would be definitely appreciated. All right, now without any further delay, let us begin. And this is kind of the day I've been dreading. And also one more thing, the way you can follow the SoCal Supreme Sports Show on social media is by following the show at SoCal Show ISR. You can follow me personally on X at Teran Rodriguez 1. All right, now let's rip the Band-Aid off. And this is the day I was kind of dreading, and I really was not looking forward to doing this day. The Chargers unfortunately chargered again.
as they fell in the wild card round. There's no better way to put it. They lost. And look, there's no better way of saying it. They just got out-muscled, out-everything by the Houston Texans. And, okay, early on, it was a good game. Chargers on their first drive, they were moving the ball really well down the field. It was looking like this was going to be the perfect storm for them. Unfortunately, their drive stalled because, predictably, on 3rd and 1, they got stuffed again. It's like every 3rd and 1 they get, everyone knows it's going to be a run play. Like, even teenagers that play Madden on rookie mode know that a run is going to be coming up. Like, come on. Like, it's so obvious. And the Chargers got stuffed on 3rd and 1, so instead of going for it on 4th down, they take the points. Okay, so it's 3-0 in favor of the Chargers. Then the Chargers force a fumble on the very first play of the Houston Texans. Alohi Gilbin knocked out the ball. Derwin James recovered. So good stuff by the Chargers defense. Unfortunately, the Chargers offense just could not do anything as they wound up kicking a field goal again, despite the really good field position. So Chargers were up 6-0, and then a long drive eventually bled into the second quarter. That eventually led to a punt. And then the Chargers punched it right back, and then the Texans were able to boot the ball. They actually threw a pick. C.J. Stroud threw a pick, which was to Dean Leonard, which I don't know who he was throwing to. So look, and the Chargers were pretty much near midfield, pretty much near the Texans' territory. But unfortunately for Justin Herbert, he threw an interception right into double coverage. Now, this one was kind of, I get he tried to get it to Quentin Johnston, and boy howdy, he could have used another receiver like Quentin Johnston. But unfortunately, we threw it into double coverage, and Lassiter picked off Justin Herbert. And even despite that, the Texans were pinned deep within their territory. I think they were pinned at the 5. But despite that, the Texans were able to dig their way out and eventually get a touchdown, which really frustrated me. It's like, come on, Chargers, really? It's supposed to be the most elite defense in the league, and it winds up giving up a big old drive like that. That was embarrassing. I'm sorry, but that was just really, 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 really bad. And then after that, the Chargers went 3-and-out again and then gave the ball back to said Texans team, and they were able to drive down the field, and they were able to get a field goal. So suddenly, what was once 6-0, it's now 10-6. So Texans were actually, the defense was what really kept the Texans in the game. Chargers offense just could not get anything. The pressure that the Texans sent with Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil Hunter was just too much for that offensive line. And Chargers didn't have Trey Pipkins, which, it's not a big loss, but Chargers could have needed all the offensive line help that they could have gotten. So third quarter happens. Texans eventually the Texans fumble as Tony Jefferson, who actually was in retirement before the Chargers brought him out of it, he actually was able to force the fumble, and I can't remember if he recovered it, but he forced the fumble, and Chargers got the ball back, only to give the ball back right to the Texans, and then the Texans got a field goal, so it's still 13-6, and the Chargers are still within one score. But then this was the play that I think kind of unhinged the game. So Justin Herbert tried to get it to Ladd McConkey. It looked like Ladd McConkey was going to make a big old catch, but the ball went right through his hands, and then it was picked off by, I think, Derek Stingley Jr., who returned it for a pick 6. That was very, 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 very unideal. And eventually the Chargers, instead of being down 13-6, they're now down 20-6 going into the fourth quarter. And they just still couldn't put up any points. Meanwhile, the Texans were putting up points left to right, whether it's field goals or touchdowns. Chargers didn't get another touchdown until early in the fourth quarter, where Justin Herbert hit Ladd McConkey for an 86-yard catch and run. So that was a nice little play right there, especially since it was 3rd and 26. But unfortunately, the extra point was blocked. And this might be I don't know why Cameron Dicker thought it was a good idea to bat the ball down. I guess he forgot that a batted ball kick that's blocked, a kick or punt that's blocked is live, as long as the opposing team doesn't touch it, and then they don't fumble it. But Cameron Dicker thought it was a good idea to bat the ball down, but it wasn't, as eventually the Texans scooped it up and scored 2 points off of it, which that was just ugly. I mean, again, I can't blame Cameron Dicker all that much just because maybe he forgot the rules, but at the same time, you just gotta remember the rules when it comes to that. So, and then Justin Herbert threw another interception. But this one wasn't on him. That went right through the hands of Will Dissly and into the hands of the defender. I don't remember who picked off that one. I don't know if it was like Stingley or Lassen or if it was like Aziz. But all in all, it was just not a pretty day for Justin Herbert. And eventually the Texans got another touchdown on the ground. That one was pretty much the cloak and dagger. And then eventually Herbert threw another interception. Now, in the defense of Justin Herbert, which I'll actually get into that in a little bit. But, yeah, interceptions were from Derek Stingley Jr. had 2 interceptions. Eric Murray and Kamari Lassiter all had interceptions for the Texans. As for the Chargers, their leading receiver was Ladd McConkey. He had 197 receiving yards, 9 receptions. Dude was amazing. And I think he set the single game playoff record for receiving yards in a game, which was initially recorded by Puka Nacua, but thankfully Ladd McConkey just was able to come up big. And I'm just going to say Ladd McConkey might be the biggest godsend that the Chargers had in the draft. So, yeah. But the big thing for the Chargers is this. Their second leading receiver was Will Dissly, who had 16 yards on 2 receptions. But in reality, the Chargers' second leader in receiving yards, or Justin Herbert's second leading receiver in terms of yards, was the Texans defense, because I'm pretty certain Derek Stingley had more receiving yards from the interceptions he got than the second Chargers receiver had, being Will Dissly. So, yeah, that was tough. But in the defense of Justin Herbert, it's tough to really, not throw the ball, because when you're down like a significant chunk, you gotta throw the ball. You're not going to be running the ball, and the run game was just not there. J.K. Dobbins had 9 carries for only 26 yards. Like, the run game was not working. That Texans defense was for real. So everyone keeps on bashing Justin Herbert, saying, "Oh, Justin Herbert sucks. He was terrible." Well, maybe you should give credit to freaking the Houston Texans' defense, because, dude, the defense was just swarming. Like, the Texans brought pressure pretty much every time. Derek Stingley was an animal. Lassiter was also a beast. Like, the secondary was also feasting, and they shut down Quentin Johnson. He had no receiving yards, no receptions, and it was tough when DJ Chark had a better game, as well as Tucker Fisk, a fullback. So, yeah, it was a tough day at the office for Justin Herbert, and what went wrong for the Chargers? Well, obviously the 4 interceptions, but again, in the defense of Justin Herbert, you're not going to be running the ball, because you want to, once you're down like 2 or more scores, you got to start throwing the ball. And I get it, Justin Herbert had the worst game of his professional career, but is this going to be what defines him? No, it won't. I think this is going to make him better, and I honestly think that this is only going to make him tougher from going forward. I just think it's frustrating that, unfortunately, the Chargers had their worst offensive output this season. Like, we talk about games that they really pooped the bed in. I mean, they also had the game against the Chiefs where they put up 10 points. They had the game against the Steelers where they put up 10 points. But this game kind of took the cake. Like, the first quarter just looked so promising. Like, they could have been up 14-0, but unfortunately the offense just could not punch into the end zone. It's like they were in preseason mode, which is very disappointing. So, yeah, I think the Chargers, look, I get it. Justin Herbert needs better receivers. I understand. they also didn't have Joshua Palmer, which I don't think he's going to be back, unfortunately. But some of the passes that could have been prevented, and also the O-line again just did not do Justin Herbert any favors. But I don't give him a pass. As a Chargers fan, I will not give him a pass, sadly. But it is what it is, and sometimes you just have that rough day at the office. And I think this game is only going to make him tougher. And Justin Herbert even admitted, he said, "I take full responsibility for the loss," and I think that's very noble of him. And it's not all his fault. I mean, the defense, as he said, that they gave him a lot of opportunities. They forced 2 fumbles, had a pick, but honestly, the defense was what really. The Chargers defense kept them in the game. Like, it could have been so much worse without the fumbles and the interception. But the Texans defense was just so strong. Like, you can't go wrong with the Texans' amazing defense. Like look at that defense. Like, you had Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, and like I mentioned, Kamani Lassiter, and Derek Stingley Jr., and Aziz Al-Shire, and whatnot. So, yeah, the Texans had 4 sacks on the day. 4 sacks. 1.5 came from Will Anderson. Mario Edwards had 1.5 sacks. And they should have had 1 more sack. No, it's from Danico Autry. So, yeah, it was a tough game for the Chargers, and their season just ends to another AFC South opponent. So, my boy Ralph Calise, thank you for popping in. He says, "Good afternoon, Teran, my man. Have a great show." And he says, "Chargers blew the 5th seed big time, but Rams are one of the hottest teams right now. Would love to have the Rams coach as the..." I'm sorry. Ralph says, "Would love to have the Rams coach as the Steelers head coach." Oh, Sean McVay's not going anywhere, buddy. Sean McVay ain't going anywhere. So... No. Sean McVay is staying here in LA. So I get what the poor Steelers have gone through, but at least they have like a winning standard. I mean, most coaches would kill for Mike Tomlin, in my opinion, but that's just me. And then the Chill Mike pops in the chat room. He says, "Have a great show, Teran. That loss to the Texans pained me." Yeah. So in case you're wondering, the Chill Mike is the host of Indie Sports Nation, and he's also the huge Indianapolis Colts fan, obviously. And yeah, I'm sorry to Colts fans and Jags fans and Titans fans. The Chargers let y'all down. So all in all, it still was a successful season. And like I've been mentioning, I didn't expect the Chargers to make the Super Bowl, let alone win the Super Bowl. Like, anything past the divisional round would have been massive overachieving. But I think for the Chargers, it was still a successful season because you got to remember, they went from 5 wins to 11 wins. And this is actually a clip that I saw before I went live. This was something I saw, and I think everyone should listen to in terms of a clip. Derwin James said, "Yeah, number 10 or Justin Herbert has put the Chargers in a situation to be in the playoffs." And this is what I will say. For everyone saying that Justin Herbert is not him or he's not big, consider this. The Chargers did play a very soft schedule. They only had 2 wins against teams that were 500 and above. The other losses were against teams that massively underachieved or that were against playoff teams like the Chiefs, the Bucks, the Steelers, the Ravens, and I guess the lone outlier loss was the Cardinals, which, I mean, they could have probably won their division, but this isn't AZ Sports Zone. So, anyway, yeah, the Chargers just had a 4th place schedule, and I just didn't think that they were battle tested. I just really did not think that. I mean, they did have the 2 wins over Denver, which was nice, but even Denver was one and done. So I think the Chargers playing a 4th place schedule didn't do them any justice. The Texans played a 1st place schedule. They went through their ups and downs. They lost Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell to season-ending injuries. And I think those rough times for the Texans was what made them stronger. And the old saying goes, tough times make for tougher people. And I think that's a testament to the Titans, or not the Titans, the Texans, for how amazing they did in that playoff game. So all the credit in the world goes to the Texans. Chargers just looked like you know what. So the Chargers season ends, but I am excited for the future, as we'll actually go over their opponents who they'll be facing next week, depending on if the Rams make it out of the divisional round, which is actually a perfect segue to go into our next little segment. But I want to show this comment. Ralph says, lol, I know I gave it a shot. Yeah, he's referring to Sean McVay wanting to coach the Steelers instead of the Rams. Well, good luck with that. But the Rams, they were able to rock the Minnesota Vikings 27-9 at State Farm Stadium in Phoenix, Arizona, in the wild card round on Monday. So I got my Aaron Donald jersey on, and then there's the little banner in the background, which I got my brother for Christmas I think it was like a couple years ago, but I digress. All right, but Rams were able to take down the Vikings 27-9 at State Farm Stadium. So opening drive, Rams were able to get a touchdown. They only needed to run the ball once, as everything else was just pass the ball to Puka, pass the ball to Tyler Higbee, pass. Eventually 5-yard pass over to Kyron Williams in the end zone, touchdown. So suddenly it's 7-0 in favor of the Rams, and things are looking good. By the way, this game took place at State Farm Stadium, the home of the Arizona Cardinals, because, as we all know, the wildfires affected the NFL decided to move it to State Farm Stadium because of the wildfires in the Southern California area, which really sucks. And again, I give my thoughts, prayers, and condolences to everyone affected by the wildfires. Definitely do your part to try to donate and help out those in need. So the first drive for the Vikings, they went 3-and-out. Defense swarmed the Vikings, and they just shut them down. So the next drive for the Rams, they were able to get in a 34-yard field goal, which I would have liked another touchdown, but you can't complain. So Rams are up 10-0 after one quarter. So just like that, it's already a 2-score game through one quarter. And that's very ideal if you are the Rams, which I think is good. See, that's how you open up the playoffs. Like, that's how you set the tone. And then in the second quarter, Minnesota settled for a field goal. This is very early in the second quarter, and thankfully for the Rams' sake, their defense was able to hold. So suddenly the Rams are now up 10-3. Now the Rams, I will say, they kind of got fortunate and lucky with this. What was eventually ruled a fumble recovery return for a touchdown was eventually ruled an incomplete pass. Now, I will say that might have been intentional grounding. That honestly could have been intentional grounding, because Matthew Stafford just barely got out that pass. And Puka Nacua, I guess, was in the area, but I think it might have been intentional grounding. So Rams really caught a break there, and eventually they had to punt, but then eventually the Rams were able to pick off Sam Darnold, and they just couldn't capitalize on that. And then somewhere around the 4-minute mark, the Rams forced a fumble as Akilla Weatherspoon got to Sam Darnold, knocked the ball out, and then Jared Verse scooped it up, returned it for a 57-yard fumble recovery touchdown, which I thought was amazing. And then eventually the Rams got the ball back again, and they were able to get a touchdown pass from Matthew Stafford to Davis Allen. So you're probably wondering, Davis Allen, well, what happened with Tyler Higbee? So Tyler Higbee was doing so great early on, and then he suffered a chest contusion. Like, it was so bad that he was actually coughing up blood, and I was just bummed for him, because dude worked so hard to make it back from his injury against the Lions from last year over to this year, where he now is back in the playoffs, only to see himself go out again, which really sucks. And surprisingly enough, despite this, Tyler Higbee actually led the Rams in receiving yards with 58 with 5 receptions. Yeah, Tyler Higbee was cooking early on, and then unfortunately that chest contusion really just kept him out. So, yeah, all in all, after the Davis Allen touchdown, Rams were up 24-3. Everything was looking good for the Rams. And then third quarter happened. About midway through the third quarter, Rams got on the board to kick off the scoring in the second half with a 44-yard field goal from Josh Gardy, which barely snuck in there. So Rams are now up 27-3. But then the Vikings were able to come back and get a touchdown pass from Sam Darnold to T.J. Hawkinson. But thankfully, the Rams were able to snuff out the 2-point conversion. So instead of being only up 27-11, it's now 27-9, still a 3-score game. And eventually, the Rams defense just did its part to hold off the Vikings, and the Rams eventually bleeded the clock away. There was no scoring after that, so Rams were able to pick up the win, and they knocked out the 14-win Minnesota Vikings. So I felt bad for Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell, just because O'Connell was the former Rams defensive or offensive coordinator, and Sam Darnold's a Southern California kid, former USC quarterback and San Clemente superstar or San Clemente legend. But the Rams have to stand on top of business, and they took down those Vikings to advance to the wild card round. So great job to the Rams as they advance to play the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday on the road in the divisional round. So first and foremost, thank you to the Arizona Cardinals for being amazing hosts to the Los Angeles Rams. I thought that was very classy of them to open their doors. Now, I kind of was wondering why they chose Arizona of all places instead of like Las Vegas. Maybe the Raiders just had enough embarrassment for this week or for the season. But honestly, for the Rams, it didn't matter. They were able to show up and show out. There was actually quite a bit of Vikings fans, so I'm hoping for the Rams' sake they get some more fans this week, but that's going to be pretty much impossible. So their next opponent is the Philadelphia Eagles, and this is a rematch from Week 12, I want to say. This is going to be an uphill climb for the Royal Blue and Gold, which I hope for the Rams' sake they're able to pull out the win. But it's going to be very tough. And yeah, it is Week 12. This was a rematch of Week 12 where the Eagles just straight up embarrassed the Rams 37-20. Look, there's no better way of saying this. The Rams are going to need to play some darn good football. And this is something that my boys Bobby and Chris Amos and Bobby Cash talked about on Philly Sports Talk. They pretty much said it best. They said the Eagles' offensive line is so big and strong, while the Rams' defense front seven is legit, like, massively undersized. So, yeah, I get it. The Rams are undersized, and it's not like the Rams' defense is going to have another 9-sack performance. Yeah, the Rams did have 9 sacks. I forgot to mention, 9 sacks for the Rams in that win over the Minnesota Vikings. I get it. The Minnesota Vikings' offensive line was beaten up. They didn't have Christian Darrisaw. They lost, I forget his first name, but O'Neal. He went out with an injury. So that offensive line really hurt Sam Darnold and whatnot. And that's how the Rams were able to get 9 sacks, which actually ties for a playoff record in a single game. So that's a good feather in the cap of the Rams right there. But this is going to be a lot tougher because the Eagles, their offensive line is amazing. Saquon Barkley shredded them in the first meeting. Jalen Hurts, although he looked rusty, he's definitely shaking off the cobwebs. And the secondary is going to be busy, even though I think the Rams secondary might need their strength. But yeah, Rams are going to have a busy night when it comes to trying to take down the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Eagles are just really good. Like, A.J. Brown is a fantastic receiver. Devontae Smith is a fantastic receiver. They got Dallas Goedert. Like I mentioned, Saquon Barkley is him. The defense is strong as well. So I'm sure this is a massive step up from facing the Minnesota Vikings. So I hope for the Rams' sake they are able to be prepared. But this looks like a game that the Rams are probably destined to lose. Like, the deck is so stacked against them, and the Eagles are just so much more talented. But you know what I say to that? And I also said last week that there's only one matchup that I think the Rams would have a matchup nightmare with, and that would be the Eagles. And everything does look bleak and sour for the Rams, but you want to know what I say to that? I don't care. Why not the Rams? Why not have the Rams advance to the NFC Championship? I think the Rams can definitely pull it off. I know it it isn't tough to beat a team twice in one season because the Rams did that with the Vikings and the Eagles did that with the Packers. But why not? Why not the Rams? Why not have the Rams continue their Cinderella run and whatnot? I mean, the only way the Rams could definitely pull out the win, and I mean definitely pull out the win, is if Nick Sirianni continues to be an idiot. But the Rams, I think their defense, they've grown a whole lot. Like, compare them from now all the way to back earlier in the season. Early in the season, the Rams defense was lost, especially without Mr. Number 99, Aaron Donald himself. But I think the Rams are up for the challenge. I think they'll be ready for the Eagles run game. I think they'll be ready for the Eagles all in general. And you know what? First and foremost, how can the Rams beat the Eagles unlike early in the season? Stop the run. If the Rams can stop the run and force Jalen Hurts to throw, I think the Rams have a solid chance. But it requires getting pressure, getting to the running back, and getting past those big boys on the offensive line. So we'll see what happens. But you know what? Even though everyone is counting out the Rams, I got the Rams winning 27-24. I think the Rams pull out the win. They shock the world. And I think everyone in Dallas or Dallas-Fort Worth will be celebrating the Rams win and becoming massive Dallas fans. And they'll be America's team, not the Dallas Cowboys. But it's certainly not going to be easy. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you all. This is just me kind of being a homer. But I think the Rams, they have proven themselves to be a true – they've proven themselves to be a contender. Remember, this is a team that started off 1-4. 1-4 all the way up to their bye. And then they finished off the season at 10-3. Yeah, 10-3 because their bye was in week 5. Or week 6. Week 6. Yeah, I'm doing my math wrong, but yeah, the Rams. Look, they're playing with house money. They don't have much to lose, and I feel the Rams are definitely playing some of their best football right now. And yeah, it was actually week 6, not week 5. Week 5, they lost to the Packers. But I think for the Rams, I think they're playing with house money, and they got nothing left to lose. And they got to win this for Southern California, for Los Angeles. And I think it's definitely doable. I definitely want the Rams to advance. I mean, they at least are playing amazing, and they at least are playing competent football. And they're playing, and everyone was crapping all over Sean McVay for losing that final game to the Seahawks, and I kind of was included. But Sean McVay was thinking 10 steps ahead, like he always does, as the Vikings were the better matchup than like the Commanders, because the Commanders actually wound up being the Bucs in the wild card round. So I think for the Rams, getting the Vikings might have been the best thing for them. So we'll see what happens. But I got the Rams winning, and hopefully for their sake, they can continue this amazing season. All right, but that is going to do it for the Rams and Chargers portion of the show. Can I also just say one more thing? Until the Chargers can win a playoff game with Justin Herbert, and this is nothing on Justin Herbert, the Rams are LA's NFL team, not the Chargers, unfortunately. Look, as much as I love the Chargers, as much as I'm a big Chargers fan, the Rams are LA's NFL team, and there's no doubt about it, because you got to remember that the Rams wound up winning the Super Bowl in SoFi. That was a decisive factor. And even though the Chargers have made amazing turnarounds, the Rams are still big brother and whatnot. So there you have it. All right, but that is that for the Rams and Chargers portion of the show. One more thing to close out for the Chargers, then we'll go to a commercial break, is that the Chargers will be selecting 22nd in the draft. So there's that to note. And will Tyler Warren be available? Will the tight end from Michigan be available? That all remains to be seen. But we'll get into that a lot more in the future. But we're going to take ourselves a quick commercial break. When we come back, we've got some Lakers and Clippers to discuss. And then we've got a little bit of some college basketball to discuss. And then we've got the Dum Dum of the Week. Keep it locked here. You're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Back with segment number 2 of the SoCal Spring Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out our amazing shows such as New York State of Sports and Fast Break. Speaking of basketball, it's actually the perfect segue to go into our next little topic right here. So the Lakers and Clippers are back in action as, well, the Lakers and Clippers re-kicked off gameplay after seeing a couple of their games being postponed due to the wildfires in LA, which, again, thoughts and prayers are out to those affected by the wildfires. So, yeah. So on Monday, both Lakers and Clippers returned to action. Lakers played at Crypto.com Arena against the Spurs, while the Clippers played at Intuit Arena against the Miami Heat. So against the Heat, the Clippers looked fantastic. There's no better way of saying it. The Clippers looked pretty darn good, if you ask me. Like, there was no beating around the bush when it came to it, and there was no debate whatsoever. The Clippers just looked really good. They just dominated the Miami Heat. This is a Miami Heat team that looks pretty broken at the moment, as the Clippers wound up winning 109-98. It was looking gloomy early on for the Clippers, but then they started to get it together. As the third quarter was what really helped out the Clippers, as Norman Powell led the way with 29 points. Very nice showing from him. You also had Kawhi Leonard with 6 points. He's still trying to work his way back, so I can't expect too many big numbers. Ivica Zubac had 21 points and 20 boards. Nice little 20-20 right there. James Harden had 26. He came up big in the fourth quarter, or in the third quarter, and then he also added 11 assists. And then Derrick Jones Jr., he had 9 points off the bench. So a good win for the Clippers, and solid, if you ask me. I thought the Clippers looked pretty good, if you ask me. It wasn't too terrible, and thanks to that win, the Clippers have snapped that little losing streak and are back on track. So the Clippers are back in action I think either tomorrow or Friday when they take on said team. But yeah, good. It's a good win for the Clippers just because they play the Nets tonight. So they're back at home tonight against the Brooklyn Nets. So I wasn't even close. So yeah, Clippers are back in action, and thank goodness they are back in action. So and I'm glad they and the Lakers are back to doing their thing after seeing everything postponed and whatnot. All right, next up for the Lakers, they took on the San Antonio Spurs, and so far early in the game against the Spurs, they were looking pretty darn good. Early on, it was close. San Antonio led by 2, but then the second quarter came where the Lakers exploded, outscored them by 11, and suddenly led by 9 at halftime. So I was under the impression and saying, okay, looks like the Lakers are going to do really good, and it looks like they're going to win. And then I actually, believe it or not, after the Rams game, I actually fell asleep and forgot all about the Lakers. But then I woke up, and then I checked the final score. Well, I saw the Lakers game at half in the first half, and then I saw that they were up by 9, and I'm thinking, okay, looks like the Lakers are going to win, which is awesome sauce. And then the second half came, and the Spurs just outscored them 36-27. So suddenly it was tied going into the final frame. And then the fourth quarter came where the Lakers put up only 13 points, whereas the Spurs, they put up 37 points. So altogether, the Lakers were outscored 73-38 in the second half. Not good by any standards. As Victor Wembanyama led the Spurs with 23 points. Anthony Davis led the Lakers with 30 points. At least he had himself a nice little game. LeBron James had 18 points to go along with 5 boards and 8 assists. Austin Reeves had 12 points. Max Christie had 10 points. But unfortunately, it was just not enough. All of the Spurs stars were in double digits. Devin Vassell and Steven Castle both had 23 points, as well as Victor Wembanyama. So all in all, that was just an ugly game. Like, Lakers should have won that one, and the Lakers had no business letting up in that third quarter. Like, that third quarter was the spark that the Spurs needed, and the fourth quarter was just a lost cause. So Lakers are back in action tonight when they host the Miami Heat. They did have 2 games postponed, one against the Spurs, or one other game against the Spurs, and one against the Charlotte Hornets. So yeah, the NBA is going to have to reschedule those games. Like, the NBA has actually got quite a bit of games to reschedule due to the fires from Southern California and due to the ice in certain other places. So yeah, so it's going to be quite something for the NBA. But for the Lakers, they need to get back on track ASAP. They face a Miami Heat team that will not have Jimmy Butler. So hopefully, for the Lakers' sake, they will be able to get back on track. All right, so that's enough of the Lakers. Let's go on to some college hoops. As I actually didn't mention this in my, I actually didn't have this in my banners, but USC men's hoops was able to pull off an amazing upset win, which was a road win, which has not really they haven't really taken down a ranked opponent on the road since 2010. That was before the Andy Enfield era. But USC was able to take down Illinois early on Saturday, winning 82-72. Now, I get it. Illinois was without one of their top players. But you know what I say? I don't care, because USC doesn't have a whole lot of top players to choose from. So, yeah, I think that that is definitely USC's biggest win, taking down Illinois on the road. They also followed that up, beating Iowa 99-89. And it's good that USC was able to pick up those 2 wins, because USC had lost 2 in a row, once to Michigan, which they were close to winning, and then last week to Indiana, which they wound up losing 82-69, which honestly, I thought that was kind of a lost cause. Indiana's a good team. I just don't think they don't get a whole lot of love. Anyway, so the USC Trojans are back in action Saturday when they host number 24 Wisconsin. And then next Wednesday, they're on the road against Nebraska. So there you have it right there. So now let's jump on into some UCLA. I wasn't planning on talking some USC men's hoops, but I totally forgot about their win over Illinois, even though Illinois was shorthanded. But UCLA men's hoops, they've kind of been on the struggle bus as of late, as they've actually lost 4 in a row. So their most recent losses were to Maryland, which they got stomped all over, 79-61. And then they lost on Monday to Rutgers, 75-68, which was kind of the battle of two teams desperate for a win. So, yeah, that was not fun. And UCLA has lost 4 in a row. And Mick Cronin has called out his team or called out his players, which, look, I get it. You're frustrated that your team is losing. But honestly, you kind of got to keep your composure, coach. So UCLA has lost 4 in a row as they host Iowa on Friday, and then on Tuesday, UCLA hosts Washington, and then next Wednesday, UCLA is on the road against Washington. Yeah, next Wednesday, UCLA is on the road against Washington. And the Wisconsin game is actually going to be on. It's saying the 21st. That should be a Tuesday. So, Yeah, that's right. So yeah, the Wisconsin game is on a Tuesday, and then the Washington game is next Friday, and then USC and UCLA will actually lock horns with one another on the 27th, which I think is going to be awesome. But it's kind of the battle of two teams desperate for a win, and that's actually going to be on a Monday. So, oof. Anyway, but yeah, UCLA's got to get off the struggle bus ASAP. This is pretty sickening if you ask me. And I'm starting to wonder if UCLA can now make the tournament. I said last week the only way UCLA doesn't make the NCAA tournament because they have the amazing win over Gonzaga. They have an amazing win over Oregon, even though they won that by a combined 5 points. But I said that the only way UCLA doesn't make the NCAA tournament is if they somehow finish below 500 and they collapse and they just string together too many bad losses. But yeah, UCLA, they really got to get their heads out of their you-know-whats. And apparently there was a game where Mick Cronin got ejected. It was 5 days ago, so I imagine that might have been against the Maryland game where he also said, I had enough. Oof, yikes. So, and I guess he also said that he was tired of it. So, yeah, I'm going to have to go back and see those post-game interviews. Oof, man. Mick Cronin, I hope for his – I don't want to say that it was against Maryland. So, in the game against Maryland, Mick Cronin did get ejected. So, yeah, that's tough for Mick Cronin. And, look, I get it. I hope for – but now with that ejection and with UCLA's players getting called out, this kind of makes me wonder, is Mick Cronin's seat getting warmer at UCLA? Will the hot seat eventually get it to the point where he's about to get scorched out of there? I hope not. I mean, I hope for Mick Cronin's sake that he's able to, keep it going with UCLA. But if he loses the locker room, then you better get ready to start putting the fries in the bag, Mick Cronin, because UCLA doesn't want to see losers. The Big Ten doesn't want to see losers. Fans don't want to see losers. And the players don't want to be losers. So, yeah, for UCLA, well, for Mick Cronin's sake and for UCLA's sake, they better get their you-know-whats together. Otherwise, everything is going to go up in smoke. And their chances of making the NCAA tournament would be very slim. And they would suck because UCLA's got 2 impressive ranked wins, whereas USC, they've only got 1 ranked win. So there you have it right there. And I hope for UCLA's sake, they can steer the ship back in the correct direction. So moving on to some women's hoops. So as we all know, UCLA women's hoops is still kicking butt and taking names. I think it's pretty darn awesome if you ask me. They are still 16-0. Their next game is postponed. So they were supposed to play Northwestern this week, but now it's been postponed, and it's going to eventually hopefully be made up, as UCLA's next opponent will be Penn State, being tonight. So that's good right there. And then on the 20th being a Monday, UCLA will also play Baylor. So you have that right there. And then for USC, They were able to pass a big test last Wednesday as they took down Maryland 79-74. That's a big win right there. Big win on the road. Second to probably the UConn win. But yeah, that was a great win right there. And USC's game against Northwestern is also postponed. So USC won't be back in action until Saturday or Sunday when they hit the road to Indiana to take on Indiana, and then they take on Purdue next Wednesday. So following that, their next home game will be on the 30th of January. They will play Minnesota. Maybe they can figure out a matchup against Northwestern or to make up the Northwestern matchup, but we shall see. All right, but that is that for the college basketball portion of the show. We're going to take one last commercial break. When we come back, we've got some NHL to discuss, and then we've got the Dum Dum of the Week. Keep it locked here. You're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr., and I'm welcoming you to take another lap with the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. Yes, this is the Extra Mile with me and my co-hosts Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward. We talk everything racing from NASCAR to IndyCar to Formula One to limited hydroplanes, endurance racing, the NHRA, and more. So come join us for an hour of great racing talk and a lot of fun as well on the Extra Mile, Thursdays at 8 p.m. only on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we are back with the final segment of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out our amazing shows such as Let's Write About DMV Sports and The Extra Mile. The Extra Mile just came back for, I think it's 7th season, if not its sixth season. Either way, their next episode will actually be the 300th episode, which I think is an amazing milestone for them. It's one of the longest tenured shows on IE Sports Radio. It's one of the true OG shows, as they actually have one of the OGs of their of IE Sports Radio being Daryl Kinsey Jr., which I think is pretty darn cool if you ask me. So congrats to The Extra Mile in advance for surpassing 300 episodes, unless they have to take another hiatus, but I highly doubt that. But anyway, so we will be discussing a little bit of some NHL talk as the Kings and the Ducks. Well, the Kings are still in contention to make the postseason, which I think is pretty darn amazing. Whereas the Ducks, well, they're still the Ducks. If it quacks like a duck, if it plays like a duck, and if it sucks like a duck, that sounded weird. Then it is a duck. So yeah, it is the Anaheim Ducks, and thankfully for their sake, they weren't affected by the fires. Unthankfully for them, they lost to the Washington Capitals, but they did beat the Carolina Hurricanes. And then they lost 3 straight prior to that to the Flyers, the Blues, and the Flames. So, yeah, this has been real tough sledding for the Ducks. It is a miracle that they are not in last place or not second to last. Well, they're tied with second to last in the Pacific Division with the Seattle Kraken. Only problem is that Anaheim has fewer losses than Seattle does. They have by the way, Anaheim has 5 overtime losses. Seattle has 3, so that's probably the reason why Anaheim is not second to last. So Anaheim's next game is tomorrow, where they're hitting the road to Tampa Bay to take on the Lightning. So here's hoping the Ducks can actually, play good hockey. Now, for the Kings, they lost 2 straight as one of their games was postponed due to the fires, being the Calgary Flames game. So they actually had to hit the road for their Canadian road trip. They lost to the Winnipeg Jets, or they beat the Winnipeg Jets 2-1. They lost their next 2 after that. They lost to the Calgary Flames, and then they lost to the Edmonton Oilers by scores of 2-0 and then 1-0. So at least the Oilers were supportive. So I really do gotta, thankful to the Oilers for being so supportive of the Kings and whatnot. So, and I'm thankful to everyone for being courteous when it comes to the LA Fires and giving out thoughts and prayers and moments of silence for the wildfires in Los Angeles. So the Kings are back in action, still on their Canadian road trip as they play the Vancouver Canucks tomorrow in Vancouver. So here's hoping the Kings can still right the ship. They are in 3rd place behind Edmonton and Vegas. Now, here's my thing for the Kings. I hope for their sake they do not draw the Edmonton Oilers, because the past few seasons, I think it was the past 3 seasons, the Kings have seen their season come to an end against the Edmonton Oilers, whether it's in the divisional or the round 2 or round 1. So Kings have got to get away from the Edmonton Oilers as fast as possible. And then the Ducks are a whopping 8 points behind Calgary for the final playoff spot from the Pacific Division. So we'll see what happens with the Ducks, but Ducks are probably not going to make the postseason. At least they're making progress, but they straight up stink. They still stink. There's no debating. I'm sorry. All right, but that is going to do it for the NHL portion of the show. Now we got to get on into the Dum Dum of the Week, and I'm sorry if I didn't take this banner down. So Dum Dum of the Week. This is basically an award I like to give out to, which no one is safe from this award. Anyone can get this award, no matter who it is. And there's actually quite a bit of nominees for this award. So we got to go over to Monday. So if you all remember last Sunday, Dan Campbell said to Kevin O'Connell, Dan Campbell's the head coach of the Detroit Lions, whereas Kevin O'Connell is the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. Dan Campbell said, "Hey, we'll see you next Tuesday, or we'll see you in 2 weeks." He's referring to, Dan Campbell is referring to, "We'll see you in the divisional round in 2 weeks." Well, that aged so poorly because, well, for starters, the Vikings are out, and second and foremost, the Vikings wouldn't have even played the Lions. So I honestly think that Dan Campbell, look, and I love me some Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell is a fantastic coach, and I wouldn't be shocked if he got coach of the year. But saying "I'll see you in 2 weeks," that is 100% bulletin board material for the Rams. And I would be surprised if Sean McVay saw that and put that on the board saying, "Everyone's counting us out. Everyone thinks we're going to lose to the Minnesota Vikings, blah, 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 blah." So in reality, Dan Campbell, he actually should be the motivator and the guy that gets some sort of award for helping the Rams get motivated to take on the Vikings. But instead, I'm going to give him the Dum Dum of the Week because he was the one that propelled the Rams to victory by motivating them. He shouldn't have opened his mouth, or he should have said, "I hope to see you in 2 weeks." He should have said, "I hope to see you in 2 weeks," instead of I'll see you in 2 weeks. But yeah, Dan Campbell, all I got to say is, damn Campbell. Get it? Damn Campbell instead of Dan Campbell. Okay, I'll stop with the corny jokes. But yeah, Dan Campbell gets the dum-dum of the week. I'm sorry, Lions fans, but you can't be putting bulletin board material out like that for the postseason. So if the Vikings are going to blame someone for the loss, blame Dan Campbell for motivating the Rams. On that note, the second dum-dum of the week, I have to there's another – okay. I've been waiting to go in on this. So everyone in their minds on X and literally lost their mind when it came to Justin Herbert's 4-interception performance. Now, I get it. Most people have their opinions on Justin Herbert, saying Justin Herbert had a bad game. Justin Herbert's not a top 10 quarterback. Well, it's certainly not top 5, but I still think he can be top 10, if not maybe borderline top 10. But there were some Chargers Twitter accounts, like I think Chargers the Bolt Beat or I don't remember the exact name. I'd have to look it up, but I kept seeing Justin Herbert might not be the guy going forward. I'm sorry. I had to go outside to just get myself some fresh air because what I saw was the most stupidest crap I've ever seen. The fact that Chargers fans were saying that Justin Herbert wasn't the guy going forward is ridiculous. That is the most asinine comment I've ever seen. Justin Herbert, the Chargers wouldn't be in the playoffs without Justin Herbert. And remember what I said? Derwin James said that Justin Herbert gave the Chargers the best chance at winning. I can't believe Chargers fans are saying that Justin Herbert is not the guy going forward. You got to be some kind of stupid to say that sort of thing. So to all you Chargers fans that were questioning that Justin Herbert is the man going forward, shame on you. You don't deserve to be Chargers fans. Get out of here. Go root for the fucking Rams. Excuse my French, but that's ridiculous that people would say, that Chargers fans of all people would say that Justin Herbert is not the guy going forward. Chargers wouldn't be in the position without Justin Herbert. Did you not see last year? Justin Herbert, without Justin Herbert, the Chargers won 5 games. 5 games. They looked terrible with Easton Stick. I'm sorry. And don't get me started with Taylor Heineke. I don't think he would have won that game, let alone any game. But honestly, everyone's got to slow their freaking roll. I swear to all that is holy. Stop saying these stupid things. Justin Herbert is my quarterback for the Chargers. He is my quarterback, and he is my QB1 for the Chargers, and nothing is going to change my mind. So all you Chargers fans saying, after that performance, I don't think Justin Herbert's the guy going forward. Well, then you're so stupid. You're like an early candidate for Dumb of the Year. And if you don't have any faith in Justin Herbert, or if you don't want to root for the Chargers, go ahead and root for the Rams. Go ahead and root for anyone else for that matter. Take your negativity elsewhere. If you don't want to root for the Chargers, if they're having an 11-win season and they're after a rebuild season, then you don't deserve to root for the Chargers if they actually somehow hoist the Lombardi up. And I guarantee you the Chargers are going to figure this out, because an 11-win season in a rebuild year with a new GM, new head coach, weapons, inexperienced offensive line for the most part, and they still managed to pull that off is amazing. So please, 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 Chargers fans, don't be stupid. Don't say things like that. That's just completely stupid. I actually do want to see the ones that did say that. It was Chargers. Was it Chargers Unleashed? I don't know if it was Chargers Unleashed or not. Yeah, but I don't think it was Chargers Unleashed. Yeah, it doesn't look like Chargers Unleashed said that. So it wasn't Chargers Unleashed. I think it was just the Bolt Beat that said that, which I think was stupid. So, yeah, the Bolt Beat is probably the guilty culprit of saying that Justin Herbert isn't the guy going forward. Well, like some people were putting out videos that Justin Herbert wasn't the guy going forward. The Bolt Beat said, for the first time ever, they said that I'm not sure if he's the guy going forward. Which, man. Also, I'm really trying to find this tweet. I'm really trying to find this post. Yeah, it's this post right here. Never expected the Chargers to be legit Super Bowl contenders this year. Okay, he's right on that one. So losing in the playoffs doesn't hurt as much. What hurts me more is the long-term outlook. Do the Chargers have a guy who can win the Super Bowl under center for the first time since 2020? I am not sure. Yeah, that he had me in the first half, but then the second half when he said, for the first time since 2020, I'm not sure if the Chargers have a guy under center. Like, this year's draft class is going to stink, and do you really want to trade a bunch of assets along with Justin Herbert to another team? Like, the Chargers QB situation is better than over half in the NFL. So the fact that people really want to, the fact that Bolt Beat actually said that is ridiculous. So I'm sorry, this is where I disagree with Bolt Beat. I know everyone has their opinions, but saying that they're not sure that Justin Herbert is the guy going forward is pretty blah. And then he follows this up by quote tweeting this and says, apparently me saying that I am no longer 100% certain Justin Herbert can win a Super Bowl is saying that he is an awful quarterback. Lamau. There's been, a dozen quarterbacks who have won this century. It's asinine to say you're 100% he can win one. Well, I mean, and then they retweeted this. Someone said Jason Reed, who is on X, he says, Justin Herbert sadly might be Dak Prescott without better PR. Let's slow our roll really quick. Like, please, let's stop. Let's stop with the whole nonsense. Like, the last thing we need is for Chargers fans to be saying that about Justin Herbert. Like Justin Herbert, like I said, Justin Herbert is the reason why the Chargers actually are in the playoffs. So for them to say they're not certain if he's the guy going forward that can win him a Super Bowl is a little asinine. So, but yeah, Bolt Beat, you're kind of dumb of the week. I'm sorry, but Bolt Beat, you're dumb of the week for literally saying that. And for every other Chargers fan that says they're not certain if Justin Herbert's the guy going forward, you're dumb of the week as well. But Bolt Beat is the leader of this dumb of the week for basically saying that Justin Herbert might not be the guy going forward. So there you go. All right, but that is going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I really do appreciate everybody tuning in. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen on playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I appreciate you. Just appreciate everybody that tuned into the live chat. I will be back Monday for Set Point, and I will also be back on Thursday. I'll be in Austin for the First Point Collegiate Challenge. So if you're going to be in Austin at the Austin Convention Center, come meet me, come say hi, and then maybe we can kick it up, talk some volleyball. But until then, have yourself an amazing week, or an amazing rest of the week. For everyone in Southern California, be safe, be aware of the fires, and continue to pray for those that have been affected. And I will see you all tomorrow at the Austin Convention Center and on Monday for Set Point. Have a great week. And remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Peace. Let's go, Rams. Whose house? Rams' house.